Hi, welcome in to Running Miles with CHD. I'm your host and coach, Josh. Thanks for tuning in and being with me on this episode. In this episode, we're going to talk about foot care and how important it can be to take care of your feet so you avoid injury and they become stronger. So it's probably something that you might have overlooked in your training. You know, a lot of people don't even think about feet sometimes when they're running, at least for exercise purposes, like exercising the foot or taking extra care of the foot. So we'll dive into that. But we'll just talk about my long run and what I ate and if it helped or not. So I've been trying to run this 100-miler by eating whole foods, and so far it's been a disaster. Not really a disaster, but well, maybe. Just I haven't had a perfect run in a sense that it just felt good to run. Like you're not in any kind of pain or something like that, I guess. Anyways, this week I did some tapering. What that means is I ran a lower mileage than I worked myself up to because I guess in my training I'm going to a new level in my training, so kind of taper before it all starts, I guess. Anyways, so I'll be going to 3 days a week of running instead of 2, which I've been doing. So yeah, I might be extra tired, I don't know, with the extra run per week. But I would say this long run, I did not eat anything extra. I did not, I guess, I didn't eat a lot the day before I did the long run. And I've been trying to stay in ketosis, which I don't think I've been in. Let's see. I did have high hopes of taking olive oil and of eating not walnuts, but eating pecans. They got 20 grams of fat. Anyways, I took a shot of olive oil before I left for my long run, and that was pretty gross. So I can't do olive oil anymore because just taking one shot was bad enough. But imagining to take an olive shot throughout a whole entire racing event of 100 miles, I couldn't imagine. You know, you definitely want the food to taste a little good, right? Anyways, during the run, it was a pretty bad run, and I would say it's pretty bad. Did take some water with me, even though it was just 10 miles, but it's still like a 2-hour run. So I took 100 milliliters with me, right? Which is about 32 ounces, right? Let's see. Yeah, it would be about that. And I put a lot of salt in it. Just salt in it, no sugar, nothing. And I grinded up the pecans. I grinded them up put them in a little bag before I left. And I took those, I would say 30 minutes before something amazing happened, which I think in mile 8 and 9, I just felt amazing and couldn't tell you why. But the only logical conclusion is I could think that maybe my body was digesting the pecans finally, because I didn't eat them until I was at mile 6, and I'm thinking it takes about 30 minutes for your food to digest. So that's kind of promising. So I think next long run I'll do some pecans, and I think I'll do just 1 tablespoon of syrup, just to get a little sugar in there, but mostly fat. So, and the next long run I have is 20 miles. So it's getting up there to being a little bit more serious, and kind of you gotta get the right ingredients quick, because these miles are getting pretty serious now. So 20 miles for me is going to take 4 hours. So it is pretty long consuming for sure. But I think I also am going to pre-load next week with a baked potato, eggs, a banana, and see how it all goes. Hopefully everything will go good, and hopefully I don't need to switch over to bread or lots of pasta. So just trying to avoid that stuff, and seeing if it's possible to just eliminate added sugar and gels and stuff like that. So we'll see how good this 20 miler goes next week. But yeah, it's always good to have hope, right? So we'll try that. But I think it might help the body just digest the food better if I grind up the nuts before I eat them. So it is a little bit more difficult to get them in your mouth when they're all grinded up. I think before I would take a plastic spoon with me and eat them with a spoon. I got these small bags where I can open it and just kind of open my mouth really wide and get the I guess the powder of nuts into my mouth, and that seems to do the trick. So I don't need to take a plastic spoon, but it's up to you what you want to do. But yeah, and I guess I could always try China seeds or herb seeds, or pumpkin seeds, and there's just so much food, I guess, that you could take. But I think we're gonna stick with this, the high fat, and see how it goes this next long run. We can always add stuff and take stuff off accordingly. Anyways, without let's see. So, talking about foot care, I would say that something that's helped me has been, at least this training for this race, that's helped me, Um, and I wouldn't know any better unless I had some foot injuries. So been there with some foot injuries. And so, um, anyways, I would say being out of the shoes is definitely something that can help your feet. I used to wear my shoes everywhere and always have them on. Now, I seem to always be taking off my shoes, which helps your shoes last longer. Also, um, helps your feet. Also, if you ever want to be grounded, that means have your foot on the dirt, on the ground. It's called grounding. Um, it just gives you a little bit of some electricity, I guess, for the ground. Anyways, you can do that if you're barefooted all the time. Something else that helps, I would say, is working out with no shoes on. Now I have to put on socks when I do the workout, and you might not be able to if your gym requires you to wear shoes when you work out, just for safety reasons, and maybe their insurance makes them do that, because the last thing you want is a 50-pound dumbbell dropped on your toe. That's not going to help your training for sure, or on your race day. Having a foot injury like that, oh my god, that hurts so bad. So, you want to be mindful if you are going to lift weights and not have shoes on. You just want to be mindful of where you drop the weights once you're done with your sets. And if you can't do that, that's okay. Don't stress too much about it. But I would say, I'm just letting you know that that's helped me in the past, taking off my shoes and working out with weights with no shoes, and then just doing like squats, and you're doing all kinds of leg workouts without shoes on, and calf raises and all that stuff is going to help the foot without shoes on. So I've been doing that, and that seems to be helping the foot very well. So I don't know if you guys ever thought of those things, but that can help strengthen the foot. And I would say for me, I have gotten into a routine which has helped as well. You could do a foot workout once a week if you want. I don't know the research on these kinds of things, so I couldn't tell you if one's better than the other. But what I've been doing, not to say it's the best way or not, but I just gotten in a habit of just exercising the foot for 5 minutes before I do any kind of workout. So, and those workouts include like toe curls and toe raises, ankle circles, and moving the big toe with the other big toe left to right, and then spreading the toes. And usually I'm doing those exercises with resistant bands. You can get resistant bands for the toes or the feet. You can get resistant bands. I kind of just do the cheap version, is I have some resistant bands and I just kind of fold them in half where they're only like 1 inch. Because the resistant bands that I have are like 2 inches. Anyway, just fold it in half and then put them around the toes and use them that way. But just a 5-minute exercise with the feet before I get started with the day or with the exercise that I am going to do. And it seems that helps as well, strengthening the foot. So those are some exercises that can help strengthen the foot. And, it's the consistency and making it easy that's allowed me to do it every morning for 5 minutes or so before I get started with the regular workout. So I mean, whatever works best for you, if you wanted to try to do some foot workouts for 1 or 2 times a week where you work on the foot for like 15 minutes or 20 minutes on foot exercises. But for me, I found it very beneficial to just do the 5 minutes every day. Just kind of like a routine, just added it. And yeah, it takes you longer to get out the door to go for your runs or whatnot. But so far it's been working with the extra foot care. So far I haven't sustained an injury, but we are in the beginning of the training, so you never know what could happen. But hopefully nothing will. And hopefully this habit that I've formed with foot exercises will help me in the long run. So, but I would say that foot exercising and foot care would be high priority list. You also want to make sure you wash your feet, and I would say use a toe clipper to clip your nails. I'm one to talk. Sometimes I just hand pull them or whatnot. It's a bad habit that I have that I've tried to stop. Just be mindful of that, and you could put toe clippers around the house to make sure that if you notice yourself doing it, that you stop and then you clip it with a nail clipper, so you don't get a ingrown toenail, which I had one of those about 2 weeks ago. I had to get it cut out by a podiatrist, which seemed to be long waiting times on those guys, at least in my city. So, I never understood why there's such long hold times. I can just imagine somebody really needs some foot care, and they can't wait like a month. So, anyways, yeah. So, I have gotten lots of ingrown toenails throughout my running career, and I would say that you can run with no toenail. It's a little painful, but I do find that once you're in about mile 10 or whatnot, you kind of forget about it because you're in so much pain everywhere else. Sometimes you don't feel the pain in your toe anymore. So yeah, they're doable, and I think I had surgery on mine on Wednesday, and he took the toenail out, and then I treated with Neosporin and took care of it, just wrapped it, and then went for my long run on Saturday. So it was about 3 days, and there was no problem. I didn't even really feel it at all. But this one was a little bit better because he only took a little bit of the toenail off. Sometimes when you get a ingrown toenail, they take the whole toenail off, which is a little bit more painful. Which I've done one of those as well, right before I ran a marathon, and I would say that that's doable as well. I think I got that one done on Wednesday as well, and then maybe it was Wednesday or Monday, but yeah, I had about 3 or 4 days to recover from it before I ran the marathon. So it's doable. Like I said, I mean, you could be in throbbing pain, but once you start running and you get in your running zone, I guess you kind of, I don't know, at least for me, I kind of just forget about it. The biggest factors with the ingrown toenail is just wrapping it correctly. So you don't want to wrap it too tight, because that's gonna give you pain by just wrapping it too tight. So you want to make sure it's nice and loose, right? And if you got the whole toenail cut off, then you probably are gonna bleed through the sock and maybe through the shoe. I think that's what my experience was, at least. But I mean, your body just like numbs it somehow, and I guess you just don't feel it, as you think you would. But I definitely felt if I wrapped the bandage too tightly. So I would say that would be my best advice if you had an ingrown toenail, that you want to make sure that you don't over tight the bandage that you're putting around the toe. So just make sure it's a little bit loose, and then you want to make sure it's not so like fat. The bandage not so fat. You want to make sure that your sock fits around it, and you want to make sure that it fits in your shoe, right? So you want to make sure that you just do a little bit of wrapping around, not excessive, just a tiny little bit. And that seems to help as well. Other foot injuries, I don't really get, or I haven't, let's knock on wood, I haven't got like blisters. I've never gotten blisters. Kind of been mindful about the socks and shoes that I wear. So that could be one of the reasons, or maybe I haven't ran as far to get the blisters. And just changing your socks during the race is always helpful to help with blisters, or if your feet are sweating and you're running in wet socks. So switching your socks during races can always help. And then plantar fasciitis. I've never had that pain, but I've heard that that's very painful. But yeah, I can't speak about it. I never had that from experience. So, and bunions. I've had bunions where I've wore the wrong fitting shoe. My feet got bigger as I started to stretch my feet, and I had no idea, and I went from a size 10 to a size 11 and a half, which was pretty crazy. So yeah, I had bunions and had to work on healing those. Um, and I think that's kind of why, I just kind of dived into working on the feet um, with some injuries that I've had to overcome. Um, but hopefully, getting the right size shoe and the right socks, and if you do some foot care, 5 minutes every morning, or you pick some foot workouts, or you start working out without shoes in the gym with your weights, can all be beneficial to raising or having a healthy foot, so you prevent injury um, when you're running, and you make your foot stronger, right? You also want to take care of your foot where you don't get athlete's foot, so making sure you clean your feet with soap and water, and just try not to wear wet socks. Um, and socks are so lightweight, right? I mean, you as a runner, when you're running these long runs, you know, you definitely want something that's lightweight, and and sometimes we're carrying water, which weighs a pound for every 500 milliliters, right? So, that's heavy, man, when it all adds up. So, taking an extra pair of socks with you is pretty light. It's not going to add much weight, and then it can save your feet from blisters or even athlete's foot. Is I feel like that's an easy no-brainer for sure. So, but only you know how much your foot sweats, right? And how wet your socks get, depending on the temperature, and the humidity outside. So, you're just going to have to coach yourself on that, on when you need to change your socks, whether that's in 4 hours, or whether that's in 8 hours, or, whenever you think it's right to change your socks. But I would highly recommend it. And then obviously, if it's raining, your socks will get soaking wet. But if you're running long enough, it could stop raining. And that's a great opportunity to change your socks, if your socks are wet-logged from the rain. So, and then of course, if you got a rain jacket on, then you could put your extra pair of socks in your rain jacket, and hopefully they won't get wet. So, yeah, that would help your feet. But just doing the little things add up, and I would highly advise that you do some foot exercises. If you haven't ever had any foot injuries, or never even thought about your foot, you could still, get in the habit of doing some foot exercises, and hopefully that will help you from ever having a foot injury, for sure. So I know I definitely skipped over a lot of foot injuries that somebody could have, and I've had another foot injury to the top of my foot, which I don't think I ever healed from during my training. But that one, yeah, that one was bad. It was all because I tied the shoes wrong on my feet. So that was not good. And I would say that the foot injury to the top of the foot, because I have high arches, so that's a foot injury that you can get if you have high arches, more common, or medium arches. Whether you tie the feet or tie your shoes too tight can give you that injury, or if you have the improper shoes, could give you that kind of foot injury. Or just overworking your foot can give you that foot injury to the top of your foot, and that one really hurts. And I tried on different socks. A lot of compression socks were too tight for that kind of injury. I felt every sock I would put on. It was really hard to find socks that were, I guess, not compressed socks. And you kind of learn all about that kind of stuff with the, I guess, looser socks. Then the blood can flow, which is better. At least it has been for me. So, but I'll talk more about that in the sock episode where we're talking about socks. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I appreciate you listening. And I'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks for listening. All right, bye for now.